Welcome back to the AM show. It's time for us to review what the papers are reporting today. And if you just joined us, this is the Joy News channel. Grateful that you could allow us into your space. Well, I have the Daily Graphic today, the Finder newspaper. I have the Ghanaian Publisher, the Daily Guide, and I also have with me the Custodian. Now, to help us review the papers is Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. He is a political scientist and the director of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana. Doc, grateful for joining us here. Good morning.
Good morning, Kojo.
I trust all is well.
I'm happy to see you again. I'm very well. I'm very well.
Great. Let's start off from...
I'm well, Kojo. Yourself?
By grace, I'm well. Let's start off from the Daily Graphic newspaper. On the front page, Tamale International Airport opens. Digital audio transmission here. Technology trial takes off. Republic Bank Africa sets up hub in Accra. Ghana saves $1.5 billion from GMPC Gensa deal, Parliamentary Select Committee. We'll delve deeper into that particular story later on. But there's this interesting story at the back page of the Daily Graphic. It says, youth form 85% of prison inmates, age range between 12 and 35. Now, the story written by Elizabeth Kunedu Boache and Diana Mensah says, or it reads, the country currently has over 9,000 youth locked up in various prisons. The number represents about 85% of total number of inmates, which is over 15,000. The Deputy Director of Prisons, Millicent Owusu, made this known at a multi-stakeholder dialogue organized by the National Youth Authority for actors within the youth development ecosystem. She described the situation as worrying because the percentage of young people who were between the age of 12 and 35 years did not have access to the many benefits that the youth in the country had, which made them a liability to the country. The Deputy Director of Prisons therefore pleaded that some national activities geared towards the youth in the country are also implemented in the prison so that young inmates could also benefit. This is worrying that 85% of inmates, are youth. But what story does it tell? Okay, so we'll get back to him, but it should be, a source of worry for all of us in the country that, we have such a number of people who could, contribute more to the development of the country locked up. Why is that the case? What are we not doing right that we have all of these young people, locked up? They are not locked up because they have, the system says they should be locked up, but it's because of something they did. But why did this happen? I mean, something that should engage all of our thinking this morning, that youth forming 85% of prison inmates. That's quite shocking. I wish that we could even get your thought on this on our social media platform. What do you make of this story? What should we do to reduce these numbers? Because this is huge. Now, the Chief Executive Officer of the National Youth Authority, Pius Enam Hajide, said it was the responsibility of the state to account for the young people in the country, and that it was also important to work with non-state actors to ensure that the issues of young people were addressed. That, he said, was the reason the authority had chosen the month of August to amplify the challenges that confronted young people and also collaborate with stakeholders to discuss the solutions that could be rolled out to deal with the challenges of young people. But if you're a young person and you're watching us this morning, there are a lot of opportunities in this country. Maybe you're not aware, but for example, if you go onto the www.neip.gov.gh platform, there are numerous opportunities, and that's why it's important that you listen to this conversation we have today, so that we can expose ourselves to all the opportunities that we can take advantage of. And it's coming up later on in the show. We'll be speaking to the CEO of the NEIP, to expose all of us to the many opportunities that exist in the NEIP so that we can take advantage of them. I'm sure if we do, we can minimize some of these instances that we see gets our youth in there. Now, let's turn to the banner headline story on the digital audio transmission, which is to take off. The story is written by Mary Ann Amponsa and Dixon Walanyo Doche. It has a new radio technology, digital audio broadcasting, that enables the transmission of digital audio content over the airwaves, has gone live in the country. This makes the country the first in West Africa and fourth on the continent to embrace the innovative technology. DAB brings in an era of radio broadcasting that will improve on the traditional frequency modulation, FM, by using digital signals instead of analog, resulting in improved reception quality and reduced signal interference. With increasing demand for sound broadcasting services and limited FM frequency availability in major cities, the country's deployment of the latest version of DAB, the DAB Plus, will address frequency constraint for FM radio and allow stations to reach more cities while broadcasting the same radio content. Okay, let's see how that goes. Let's turn to other stories in the Daily Graphic newspaper. Okay, let's see. Okay, so we had this story here. Let's see. Now, Tamale, the northern regional capital, was ushered into a brand new life yesterday afternoon when Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia inaugurated the second phase of the redevelopment project of the Tamale International Airport, TIA, at a brief ceremony. The airport, which has now gained international status, is formally open to passengers. This follows successful test and simulation exercises on the project by the Ghana Airport Company Limited. The expansion works, costing $70 million, included the construction of a modern terminal building and other ancillary facilities such as VIP lounge, 2 boarding gates, 4 self-service check-in kiosk, 8 check-in desks, airline offices, commercial retail areas, and multi-purpose terminal for Hajj travel facilitation, and a 5-kilometer road network. The airport also has a 350 capacity car park, a technical area which includes a reservoir for potable water and firefighting, and a sewage treatment plant, among other facilities. Inaugurating the facility, Dr. Bawumia indicated that the terminal was designed for passenger throughput of 400,000 annually, adding that with the opening of the new terminal, a number of airlines would now be flying directly from Tamale to various parts of the world. So today, if you are from the northern part of the country and you're traveling anywhere in the world, you don't need to come through Accra. All you need to do is to go to Tamale, and then you can travel. You can fly from Tamale to Paris, to London, to Canada, to US, wherever you want to go to. He said the project was in line with the government's effort to expand the infrastructure in the airline industry to boost the agribusiness in the country and attract foreign investors, while making Ghana an aviation hub of the West African sub-region. So even if someone wants to fly into Burkina Faso, he can come into Ghana through Tamale, and then he goes into Burkina. Wonderful. Let's see how this goes. My only worry will be how we maintain this facility. I mean, that has been a challenge in this country. We build fantastic infrastructure, but when it comes to maintaining them, it becomes a headache. There are so many roads that are going bad because we fail to do maintenance on those roads. I was driving on the Anaje Highway sometime last week, and I was telling myself, how have we allowed this road to even begin to have these potholes? Small potholes have started to develop on the Anaje Highway in Takrade, but authorities are watching on for those smaller potholes to deteriorate before we spend a lot of money to reconstruct the roads. I mean, that's the challenge we have in this country. So as we reopen the Tamale Airport, fantastic, but I only hope that when the smallest of challenges come, we should tackle them from the early stages so that they do not deteriorate. That has been our culture in this country. And for that Anaje Road that I'm talking about, we're all here. let's give ourselves a year. We'll bring stories of that road and we'll see how wider the potholes have become because authorities are failing to act. That is how we are in this country. So my only plea is that once we have opened such a fantastic project, let us up our game when it comes to, maintenance, because for our lack of maintenance, a lot of infrastructure have gone bad in this country. Now, when you go to page 16 of the daily graphic, it says, Minerals Commission discusses exploration of lithium at Mfanteman. Now, the Minerals Commission is holding preliminary discussions with Atlantic Lithium Limited, a mining company, on the development of the Ewoya lithium deposit in Mfanteman municipality in the central region. The project has, however, not received the approval of the Minister of Land and Natural Resources. Neither has a contract, transaction, deal or stake for any person, company or entity been signed. By law, the Commission is mandated to make recommendations to the Minister for the granting of mineral rights, including a mining lease. Once that has not been done, no company can mine in this country. And that's why those who are mining without these, we call them illegal mining. So if any company is mining lithium in the Infantiman area and you know about it, you have to report. They don't have the license, per what we are reading here. Now, it says the Chief Executive Officer of the Minerals Commission, Martin Kwekwe, told the Daily Graphic that the Commission had not made any such recommendations for the granting of a mining lease for the development of the lithium deposit at Ewoya. He explained that Atlantic Lithium had a prospecting license which it acquired through its Ghanaian subsidiary, Barari Development Ghana Limited. Quote, at this stage, Atlantic Lithium Limited still holds a prospecting license in the name of its local subsidiary, Barari Development Ghana Limited, and unquote. Martin A.C. added. Now, the interview comes in the wake of claims by Piedmont Lithium in respect of the company's acquisition of a stake in the Ewoya lithium project in Ghana. The press release by the Commission follows the Australian mining firm Piedmont Lithium had acquired a 22.5% stake in Atlantic Lithium's Ewoya project in the country. The CEO of Piedmont, Keith Phillips, was quoted in a release saying, quote, "We are pleased with the result of the Ewoya lithium project, definitive feasibility study, and our election to earn our initial 22.5% interest in Atlantic Lithium's Ghanaian lithium project portfolio," unquote. Now, Cabinet on July 27 this year approved a new policy framework for the exploitation, management, and regulation of lithium and other green minerals in Ghana. The overarching goal of the new framework is anchored on the principle that exploitation of green minerals, including lithium, must benefit the people who are true owners of the mineral resources. How are we going to ensure that the people benefit from this? It's another conversation we need to have. But now we do know that nobody has been given the license to, exploit the mineral. All that they have is prospecting to determine the, amount of lithium we do have. So if you see something, you need to say something. If you see someone is, mining lithium out from those areas, you need to alert the authority so that the right things can be done. Okay, so we've been joined now by Dr. Kwame Asante on the phone. Doc, great to have you back. Yeah. So I wanted us to start from the youth forming 85% of prison inmates. We are told they range between 12 to 35 years. And I was asking, what real story does this tell?
This is a very unfortunate story, and it's not good for a country such as ours, and of course, it's not good for any country. Why are we in this? A number of factors come to the fore. Okay. If you look at it straight away, it tells you that there's something wrong with our socialization process, where we inculcate certain values in children for them to develop to become the best for society. What we are seeing tells us that there's something wrong with that. Let's cast our mind back to the family and to see how far have we been able to or how far have we fared in terms of our development or contribution in this regard? Do we offer children the best of training in terms of what will make them fit into society? The answer is no. We have allowed children to do their own thing, and we have all manner of difficulties. People also have broken homes that have contributed immensely to some of this. Added to it, you can also talk about issue of what a lot of youth who are energetic and are what idle, doing nothing. Issue of unemployment and skills training is missing. So you'll find them into vices that will lead them into prison. It is unfortunate, and this means that our institutions must up their game alongside with families, with schools, with other agencies of socialization. They have to come in seriously because this country cannot do without the youth. And look at their number, the age bracket, 12 to 35. That's in other jurisdictions where you see a number of people who are in the labor front working, and here we have them in prison. It sends a very wrong signal to us that all government efforts, all the efforts of stakeholders, we are still having a sizable number of our youth population locked up in prison. It is cause for worry, and stakeholders must sit and act now.
How must we deal with this? I mean, what is the solution to this?
The solution lies in some of the things I've said. We need to tighten the noose around the what are the things that will make children or growing children become fit for society. So families must take seriously the process of socialization to inculcate. Let's continue to do that. Inculcate values into children so that when they grow, they live by them. Problem of what? Families. We need to also look at that and resolve them one way or the other. And then government must strengthen its efforts to provide employment for the youth. There are a lot of them who are ready to work and they have no job. That doesn't mean, let me also state it clearly, that doesn't mean that if you don't have job, you must go into vice that will take you towards prison. No. But the old adage serves us better, that the devil finds work for the idle hand. Let us engage them through what? Certain training, and then let us occupy them with something that will help them in their development, and that will deal with some of these problems. I know it will not go completely, but we'll be able to what? Nip it in the bud or reduce it to the barest minimum.
Okay, now let's turn our attention to the Finder newspaper now. On the front page it says, government settles 2.4 billion coupons on new bonds. No licenses granted to mine lithium, according to Minerals Commission. Research to find one traditional dish as Ghana's national food underway. And $70 million phase 2 of Tamale Airport commissioned to increase economic activities in northern Ghana, according to Dr. Bawumia. Now, the story is on page 2 of the Finder newspaper. It says, Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia has commissioned the Tamale International Airport Phase 2 project at a colorful ceremony in the Northern Regional Capital, facilitated under the auspices of the UK Ghana Business Council, established in 2018 and co-chaired by Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. The project is part of government's aviation sector infrastructure development program designed to expand the frontiers of the aviation industry and to make Ghana the aviation hub within the West African sub-region. Dr. Bawumia, who broke ground on August 15, 2019 for works to begin on a project, expressed delight that 4 years on, the Tamale International Airport Phase 2 project has been completed. Quote, this project is so dear to the government and particularly the hard-working people of the Northern region and its trading partners across the length and breadth of the country and the sub-region, unquote, Dr. Bawumia stated at the commissioning. quote, the completion of this ultra-modern terminal building together with a multi-purpose terminal and other ancillary facilities are expected to provide needed impetus for increased economic trading activities and to reinforce the status of Tamale as a sub-Saharan hub for flight to and from neighboring West African countries and Sahel regions. Doc, I was saying a while ago that, well, this is good, fantastic project, but our only problem should be maintaining them. What do you make of this the commissioning and what the prospect that this brings to the northern part of the country?
Yeah, you couldn't have said it better. We need to develop that culture and sustain it. The culture of maintaining very important things or anything that we put our resources into. We need to maintain them to the best of what is required of us so that it serves the purpose for which it was developed. In modern economics, you cannot do without aviation industry booming and then attracting a lot of people to use facilities within the industry. So this is a good call, and it has come at no better time than this time. But we want more in other places so that it will open the frontiers of the country's economy and allow us to rake in the necessary revenue that we need to propel our economy from its current state of that we find ourselves.
All right. Government, we understand, has settled some 2.4 billion coupons on new bonds. And the story is on page 4. It's written by Elvis Darkon. It says the Ministry of Finance has issued instructions for the settlement of first matured coupons of new bonds issued under phase of the domestic debt exchange program. In a Twitter post, the Finance Ministry said that the payment is in line with credibility of Ghana's domestic debt operation. Quote, in line with government's commitment to the continued success and credibility of Ghana's domestic debt operations, instructions have gone out for the settlement of 2.4 billion cedis first coupon payment of the DDEP due today, the tweet stated. I mean, what do you make of this? When the whole thing started, there were a lot of people who didn't participate because of, people not trusting the process. But here we are. What does it say?
If you look at this, it is a good thing, but my prayer is that it should be maintained or sustained. We don't want a one-day wonder thing where you pay today, the next day you default, and people picket at the ministry and all that. It doesn't bode well for a country which is struggling to maintain its image in this direction. It doesn't bode well at all. And you do yourself good. I'm talking about the government, if you are able to right that wrong and make sure that you do it well, and then you ginger people to want to contribute to financing government through the public sector. Without public finance, definitely governance process is going to be affected. So it is incumbent upon government to do the needful and then respect the terms of contract relative to this type of agreement so that you pay people on time. We need more of such finances to stabilize the economy, and government need to do what is required of them to also bring smiles on the faces of those who put in their hard-earned resources. But the nonsense, I'm sorry to say, of government always taken out at the last minute when people have contributed and they want their returns, government will come out with all cock and bull stories, and then government push that, which is always annoying. I think must cease so that we'll have an environment that will be attractive enough to get people into that sector and support government in this effort.
All right. Moving on to the Daily Guide newspaper. It says Cecilia Dapa's stolen cash case, third suspect granted bail. We saved the economy from collapse. That's according to BOG. Baumia opened 17 million Tamale Airport Phase 2. Compensate Africa, Nana tells of the West, and 2.4 billion released to settle DDEP first coupon. Now on page 3, the story is written by Charles Techi Bwedu and says President Akufo-Addo continues to mount pressure on the need for Western countries to pay compensation to Africans and their countries for the negative effect of the transatlantic slave trade. The subject of restitutions, he said, must go along with the matter of reparations, since, according to him, quote, no amount of money can restore the damages caused by slave trade and its consequences, which have spanned many centuries. Your thoughts?
This issue about reparation and all that, I have a different story, or a different thinking about it. Because if we're talking about slavery, it didn't take one person or one group of people to do it. It was a joint effort between our people and the slave masters. So who is paying who a compensation? Sometimes when I hear this, there's something that we have to sit down and do, and that is to interrogate the literature the more, and then see the causes, and then who perpetrated the act. And then if there is any reparation, we can look at it and look at this carefully. And that is why we always cry about these things, and the Western world do not want to mind us. That is not to say that I endorse slavery and all the effects. I hate it, and I was a student of history, and we were taught slavery, and I detest it. I have visited places in the U.S., such as Monticello, where I've seen the effects of slavery and the rest of them. But look, it's a very complex matter. We have to look at it very well if we want to make sense to the world. And then we're trying to see what we can, demand out of that, out of which we can create problems and people will laugh at us. But aside this, I want to also say that let us not bang our hopes. I'm not sure we are banging our hopes on these things to believe that we will definitely be giving us that type of reparation and all that. With or without it, we should, prepare our minds that we move on and that we use slavery as a bitter lesson to guide our future conduct and develop our country on our own.
But Doc, there's no argument about what the West did. Some of them have even said that, I mean, when they read history, it pains them the sort of things their grandfathers did to Africa. So is there a debate about who is supposed to do what?
Yeah, but the issue is that you are asking for reparation for, the acts of inhumanity that was meted out to black people ferrying them from Africa through the difficult terrain of Atlantic Ocean to the New World and the rest of them. And I'm saying that the source, the beginning, who were those who took part in slavery? It always was a market where there were suppliers and those who also demanded the commodity. And so was it the case that it's only Western world that was guilty of this and our people did contribute? Remember, before even event of transatlantic slavery, and domestic slavery, and then even with the introduction of transatlantic slavery, there were people who took part in selling people. You can go around this country and check our history of man in here in Africa, in Ghana, in Africa. Talk of Benin, King Kosoko and Co. would not stop selling slaves because it supported the economy, the Benin economy, and the rest of them. And I'm saying that having taken part in these ugly business, that is one actor plus another actor, why are you demanding reparation from the person who also was on the market after you have supplied? That, for me, is a lingering question that beats my mind, and I need answers from the public.
Interesting. All right, Doc, I'm grateful to you for joining us here on our News Review segment of the show. Do have a great day. Dr. Kwame Asante is Director of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana. This is the AM show, and we're grateful to you for joining us here. This is the News Review segment. We'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll bring you sports, but just before, this segment was brought to you by Endpoint, and they're doing some free screening for both males and females. For females, they're doing fertility screening. You can pass by their branch, which is Spintex, opposite the billboard. And then in Takrady, they are at Anaje. In the Nzema area, they are located in Esiama. Techiman, they are located in Hanswa, and then in Kumasi, in Kronom Abwe here, behind Angel Educational Complex. Do get to them so that you can know the status where you are, and they would ensure that they treat you. They say that, endpoint and to chronic diseases. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll bring you sports.